Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is a big one. This is gonna be a big one. What are we supposed to do? I don't know. Woo! Whoa! Woo! Well, welcome to another episode of DTV, episode 17. Somebody leaked a draft of something and everybody freaking out. So, how's it going, folks? It's been a busy weekend for me. Everybody knows that I was out there in good old Las Vegas for the Nevada Republican Convention. And honestly, it was kind of a weird situation. First Republican convention that I have ever been to. And I will say that there was definitely some shady shit that went on. But, I mean, what can you really do at this particular point in time, on this moment in time? Not very much. Although, I guess, we were still able to get who we wanted to get in, and we were still able to win the way that we wanted to win. So, all in all, I guess it was an alright situation. It was just a little bit strange to see that the Republican Party in Nevada was so out of touch with not only their voters, but, their delegates. Because, the delegates are the ones that make them decisions. And I thought it was mighty strange of those guys to, they're like, oh, we're going and we're vetting candidates and we're doing all this stuff. And the funny thing is like, I vet candidates too. And I researched some shit about some people. And for some reason, they're a fantastic group of people that spent 2,000 hours allegedly on, interviewing people, emailing them and stuff like that. They seem to have come to different conclusions than I did, which I thought was really strange, honestly. And even more strange, like, I'm on my way to the place and I'm getting text messages from the Trump team saying, y'all need to vote for this guy, Joe Lombardo, because Donald Trump just, endorsed him. Same thing for another guy. And wouldn't you know it, neither of those guys actually got the endorsements from the Republican Party of Nevada. Not saying that the Republican Party committee didn't choose them, but I am saying that the delegates were all like, fuck your choice, we're going with Joey Gilbert! Joe Gilbert! Yeah! Joe Gilbert! Sorry. It was some fucking crazy shit. So, I spent a lot of time there, dude. Honestly, I don't know what the hell I was doing over there, but I figured somebody of my stature, somebody with the big brain that, understands how to get stuff done and then, can see past the bullshit might need to show up. So my first order of business was heading to the platform meeting so that I could see, what the Republican Party platform was supposed to be for the next couple of years, because they are supposed to rewrite that platform every now and again when they have the ability to do so. So, I sat in, I listened to what they were saying and started offering up my understanding of things that were to be coming. And they were like freaking out a little bit because I was like naming ARS codes and then reading the actual laws and stuff. So I was like, well, if you guys want this, then you're looking at getting this repealed. So maybe, we should be just directly saying that we should be getting this stricken from the legislation as opposed to us just being kind of like very non-direct about whatever we're doing. But yeah, I did seem to have, have some people catch some notice about what was happening. And then the next day, it was pretty crazy. I heard the guy who's the chairman of the Republican Party threatening to kill somebody or some shit. And this was like in the first 5 minutes. And I mean, I was just kind of like, holy shit, it's going to be like this. I need to go get something to drink. Jesus. But I mean, it was pretty contentious. They did some shady shit in the beginning where they voted really quickly to amend something before anybody realized what they were trying to do. And then I worked with a couple of different people trying to get that whole thing repealed. And it was really shitty because we had enough votes to get it done, but they decided to count the number of total delegates and as opposed to the number of delegates that were actually in the area. So that even failed. And then we had to spend hours and hours and hours going through all these like nomination bullshits that they wanted to do. And everybody was just like, nah. And I mean, it got funny. Yeah, what's it called? It just got funny as people that they were putting up there were getting knocked down, and then everybody was voting in somebody else that they liked better. And then it's just kind of like, yeah, you guys didn't even need to waste all this time because clearly none of the delegates or any of the other members of the Republican Party were too keen on that because, people have tried to do that before and it never works out great. It didn't work out great for you guys in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. It didn't work. So what the fuck makes you think it's going to work now? I don't know. Bunch of geniuses. That's what those guys are. Bunch of smarties. Well, not that smart. I mean, they were all using public Wi-Fi and shit. So, I was in my element. I didn't want to, cause any drama. I just kind of sat back, raised my hand, answered some questions, got up there, was all like, Manuel Chavez, Carson City. I don't believe that the chairman should have been threatening to kill people. That is all. And then I looked at Fat Boy and I was just like, seriously, bro? They just started finding bodies in Lake Mead, Mr. Gangster Man, and you think it's smart to be out here talking about killing people? Nah, motherfucker. Nah. That's okay, though. And then there was some other shit, too, where they were, trying to say, well, we emailed all you guys, and I'm all like, well, I had to go into my junk mail folder to even find the bullshit that you guys emailed me. And number two, we're delegates. Why we have these bags that, you put shit into. Where's all the paperwork? You guys said you wrote a report on all of these people and who we should and the reasons why, but we don't get to see it? Right. Okay. I see. They tried to tell me their printer was broken. And I was like, oh, cool. Where's it at? And they're like, huh? And I was like, where is the printer? Is it over at the GOP office? I can go fix it for you really quick. If you would like, I could do that. And they're like, oh, no, it's too late. And I'm like, oh, no, it's never too late. It's all we need is about one box of paper, and we should be able to print all of the things that are required. Yep. I'm looking at this Republican convention and I see a bunch of old fucking people. No offense to any of my cotton tops out there, any of my blue hairs, any of my folks that are advanced in their years or whatever, but, they're still used to having paperwork. They don't all have iPads and they might have iPhones, but I mean, they're not going to be able to see that shit on their little tiny phone screen. So print the shit out. Seriously, you're the Republican Party of Nevada. You guys can't print out some papers. You couldn't hire somebody to get some printing done. You couldn't take the offer from a badass IT professional that knows how to fix the printer that you got to fix the printer that you got. It's probably something stupid anyway. Probably just a little teeny tiny piece of paper that's making it so it's not picking it up because it's detecting it. But no, y'all had an agenda. That's fine though. I'm cool with the folks' agendas and things of that nature. But I guess that's basically it. We've been doing our thing. We've been trying to make sure that things are actually going right, because regardless of what people think or whatever, you got to get involved into politics. If you care about what's going on in your country, then you do it. I remember when I got involved in politics, it was 2007, and I did not have very much going on in my life. But you know what? I was like, damn, dude, I want to get involved in the presidential elections. I want to get involved in politics. My grandpa was into politics. I could do this shit. And I signed up. I signed up. I was a Republican. I signed up to work for the McCain campaign. And then as a joke, I went and signed up for the Obama campaign too. And ended up working on the Obama campaign. McCain campaign never even hit me back up. And I was from Arizona. So, it made me wonder why I was not selected by the McCain campaign. But it's whatever. I figured, hey, I could go just do this Democrat shit for a little bit. I mean, as long as nobody figures out that I'm a fucking Republican, I could just learn anyway. And plus, I was pretty good back in the day. I thought that Obama was going to be good. I was like, first black president, I want to be a part of that shit. Man, I want to be a part of that shit. Making history and stuff. And, I'm not going to say it was a mistake. I did learn how to use Twitter. I was involved with running Twitter accounts for the Obama for America campaign in Arizona and a couple other places. And I learned a lot. I also learned how shitty a lot of these Democrats were. So it definitely changed my thoughts, and I went more independent after that, because after Obama started doing all that bullshit, I was just all like, this isn't what I thought, and I've been to their Arizona convention. I went to the national convention. So I know a thing or two about all this stuff. But ever since I moved out to Carson City, I figured I'm starting on the other side of the tracks, Start off fresh. Get your ass over there into the Republican Party. And honestly, it's just a big mess of nepotism as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they haven't really done much in 2 years, and then they just hired a new chairman who's been basically in charge for the last 2 years, where they haven't done a whole motherfucking lot other than have fancy wine parties for cotton tops. I mean, that's cool. I mean, if you want a little wine club or whatever, but we're trying to win elections here. We need to have people knocking on doors, making phone calls, getting volunteers, all that big stuff. And I just don't see that crap happening. So the only way to figure it out is to get involved. And I mean, I got involved pretty quickly being a delegate. Now we went through all of that stuff, and now I got to peel the layers back and figure out, what's going to be the best plan of attack to fix the absolutely broken Republican Party. I mean, I know there's some people that are in the party that think that they're just all hot shit and they know what they're doing, but I mean, they're fucking failures. That shit was a failure. They, seriously? That was your event? I mean, Palace Station's alright, but seriously? Seriously? You can't control your people like that? It's fucking ridiculous, dude. I'm not even mad. I'm just kind of disappointed. I was expecting more. This is fucking Vegas. And this is what you guys had. So, I guess you gotta play to play. Yeah. That's right, Mark Smith. I have always been open and anonymous. I did 9/11, and I was also behind Q. Second one's true, first one's false, but everybody says the first one. So, I guess now that we know where we're going, it's been pretty good. And honestly, I didn't think the news was going to get fucking crazy, folks. Like, I thought we were just going to be talking about Elon Musk and Twitter. Elon Musk and Twitter. Hey, everybody, where's Elon Musk at? I don't know, because Twitter's afire with something completely different. I mean, I woke up this morning and I was just like, okay, what are we going to be talking about today on the show? It's going to be Elon Musk, right? 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 It's going to be Elon, right? Nope. Would you not believe it? But there was some crazier shit. And I'm not even talking about Nina Jankowicz or whatever and the Ministry of Truth that they just announced where they're going to have a disinformation czar or some bullshit like that. I mean, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about an even bigger thing. It is a big thing. The question of the day in the chat is there. I had to change my video shit, so just bear with me. Yeah, according to Politico, an exclusive article for them, the Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights. That's right. A draft opinion that has been leaked to Politico says that. Yes, it does. And let me tell you, people are going apeshit. There is currently an insurrection happening over at the Supreme Court right now. I mean, they had to put gates and shit up because there are a bunch of pissed off people out there that want to be murdering babies. And the thing hasn't even dropped yet for reals or anything like that. This is just a drafted opinion that is not even supposed to leave the Supreme Court. This is something that's only shared between the Supreme Court justices. And this is the first time in modern history, nay, I say ever, that a draft opinion from the Supreme Court has ever been released. So I'm kind of torn right now, thinking of which is bigger, the fact that they're maybe going to overturn abortion or the fact that somebody actually leaked something from the Supreme Court, because that's got to be illegal as fuck. And that's literally never happened. Never. It has never happened. Ever. Never. It has never happened. So, what do we say? What do we do? I don't know. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. Justice Alito writes in his majority draft circulating inside the Supreme Court. That's right. The Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe v. Wade decision according to an initial majority draft written by Justice Samuel Alito, circulated inside the court and then obtained in a shady way by Politico. I don't know. Was it one of the justices that leaked it to their aide who then leaked it to somebody in Politico? Are we going to be able to guess who it was? Probably. More on that later. But for now, the draft opinion is a full-throated, unflinching repudiation of the 1973 decision which guaranteed federal constitutional protections for abortion rights and subsequent 1992 decision, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that largely maintained the right. Roe is egregiously wrong from the start, Alito writes. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. He writes in the document labeled as an opinion of the court, it is time to heed the Constitution and return to the issue of abortions to the people's elected representatives. Damn. So that means that they're saying we want to give the power back to the people. More specifically, we want to give the power back to the states where the individuals, the people who's living within those states, get to decide whether they're going to be baby killing bitches or pro-life Bible thumpers. Yeah. So, I mean, this is crazy. This is huge. This is like bigger than anybody thought. Like everybody thought Trump was going to get back in and then he was going to be the one that was pushing for all this. But apparently the justices decided this shit on their own. And I have to view, pro-life because I've always been pro-life. I've never been a fan of abortion. I've never believed that a woman has had a right to murder someone else. My mom used to tell me all the time that she put me in this world and then she'd take me out of it. And I'd be like, nah, bitch, that's illegal. and shit. But she was like, what about Roe versus Wade? And I'm like, but I was already born. You can't kill me after I've been born and left. You'd be like one of them murdering ladies that ends up on, Inside Edition or something like that. So, it's always been a controversial topic for me and shit because I've never agreed with it. I've had a girlfriend that's had a miscarriage herself, but, I've always far suspected that it wasn't a miscarriage, that it was an abortion or smishmortion or however we're going to call it or whatever. And honestly, that messed me up for a really long time because, regardless of people's lives and shit, the decision was made without me whatsoever. There could be a little Manuel Chavez III running around right now. My life could be completely different than it is right now. And it all stems on the decision that somebody else made. And that's always hurt me for like my entire life. It's something that I just can't get over because I couldn't ever understand how somebody could have been so callous being a Catholic and all, it's like they took away my kid from me and I didn't even have a decision. I would have been totally cool being like, have the baby, I'll take care of it. You can go and fucking do whatever the fuck you want, go to college, have the big successful life that you want. I wouldn't have cared. As long as, I took responsibility for that kid. But I'll never get that choice again. And I think that it's probably affected some of my relationships with women moving forward. But that's just a personal part of my life that I've always had to deal with. And honestly, now it's like, shit, dude, I'll never know, right? I don't know if it was real or there was something else going on or if it was just a bad situation. But here we are, This isn't even a done deal, folks. It's not. This is just a draft. This is the first drafted opinion that they've had on this particular thing. We have a copy of the draft that was given to whomever. I guess it's Politico that's circulating this shit out to different people. And honestly, it says to the Chief Justice Thomas, Bayer, Sotomayor, Kagan, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett. Yeah. The opinion is the subject of the formal revision before publication in the preliminary print of the United States reports. Readers are requested to notify the reporter of decision of the Supreme Court of the United States, Washington, D.C. 20543, and any typographical error or format errors in order that the corrections be made before the preliminary print goes to press. Yes. So, what that just tells you is that this is done deal shit. I mean, it's not a done deal because all of the stuff that's happening right now could totally change this, but as this document was set out, somebody was so freaked out about what they saw that they had to leak it. And this is probably the most problematic thing about the whole situation. I mean, they're going to try to make it about a woman's right to choose or whatever, but that's minor compared to the atrocity that just happened under Joe Biden's watch. Like, they did this. They literally circumvented the court so that people would start harassing the court. And that's exactly what we got going on right now. And this cannot fucking stand in the United States of America. No, sir. No, sir. And, honestly, I don't even care if I lose friends. I've lost friends already where I've been like, I'm sorry. I'm pro-life, women's got to choose or whatever. And, even instances of rape and stuff like that, that shit's really bad. But you know what? I'm still not down for killing the rape kid. Sorry, that's just not my deal. It's never been my deal. But then again, I'm also not going to be the guy recommending that we give them to the Catholics or anything like that. There needs to be a better pathway moving forward. And you would think that all of these people would be against murder. I think that we should have all been against murder, and no matter where it comes from or who does it or what the reason is. And I don't think I'm ever going to change my opinion. I'm never going to think it's okay for you to murder somebody, regardless of what it is. I mean, it's just kind of weird, honestly. So looking at what Alito's saying right now, and putting out there, it's just kind of crazy to think about it because it says abortion prevents a profound moral issue on which Americans hold sharply conflicting views. Some believe fervently that a human person comes into being at the conception and the abortion ends an innocent life. Others feel just as strongly as any regulation of abortion invades a woman's right to control her own body and prevents a woman from achieving full equality. Ah, look at that. Equality. This is something. Why are the justices using the equality word? Isn't equality a leftist part of leftist ideology? Can't we just say that they're equal? Because language, when you cede ideological ground to people by utilizing language, it says a whole lot for you. We had to amend the Republican Party platform of Nevada quite a few times because people didn't realize that they were utilizing that language. But here we are, Alito and those guys talk about equality. Oh yeah, everybody's equal. I thought we were equal or whatever. If a man can't kill a baby, a woman can't kill a baby. That's, in my mind, is equality. But a man can't kill a baby, but a woman can make the decision to kill the baby. That is not equality in my mind. And I mean, I might be putting that in a very basic ideology or whatever, but it's what I think. I'm not going to be told what to think by crazy people. Honestly, I'm not going to let Blue Anon, MegaAnon, QAnon, any of those people dictate the way that I am going to think. I already got a book to do that. It's called the Bible. And that's the one that I've been following. So if you want to call me a LARPer, you can call me a Catholic LARPer. But outside of that, you can suck my pee-pee. Suck it. Either way. Still, others in a third group think that abortion should be allowed under some circumstances, but not all circumstances. And those within the group hold a variety of views about a particular restriction that should be imposed. For the first 185 years of the adoption of the Constitution, each state was permitted to address the issue in accordance with the views of its citizens. Then in 1973, courts decided Roe versus Wade, and even though the Constitution made no mention of abortion, the court held that it confers a broad right to obtain one. It did not claim that American law or common law has ever recognized such a right, and its survey of history ranged from the consequentially irrelevant to the plainly incorrect. After cataloging a wealth of other information having no bearing on the meaning of the Constitution, the opinion concluded with a number of set rules much like those that might be found in the statute enacted by legislature. Under this scheme, each trimester of the pregnancy was regulated differently, but the most critical line was drawn roughly at the end of the second trimester, which at the time corresponded when the fetus was thought to achieve viability, i.e. the ability to survive outside the womb. Although the court acknowledged that the states had a legitimate interest in protecting a potential life, it found that this interest could not justify any restriction on pre-availability abortions. The court did not explain the basis of this line, and even abortion supporters have found it hard to defend Roe's reasoning. One prominent constitutional scholar wrote that he would vote for every statute very much like the one the court ended up drafting if he were a legislator, but his assessment of Roe was memorable and brutal. It was not constitutional law at all and gave almost no sense of any obligation to try to be. This is Justice Alito putting it out there. I mean, he's being really direct about what he feels and what he says about this particular situation. So think about it, guy. You gotta think about it, dude. You gotta think about it. So what do you think's happening here? Why would they leak this document? Do you think that they're trying to create another BLM incident? Because that's what it is. We went through years of insurrections where people were going out and protesting mostly peacefully while they were burning down buildings and shit. Are they trying to get a bunch of these pro-abortion people to go burn down the Supreme Court or something? Because that's what it seems like they're actually trying to do. I mean, the insurrection that's going to be cropping up because of this is going to be big. And then how is the Biden administration going to move forward on this situation? Because honestly, they've been pretty quiet already. And if they don't decry the fact that somebody leaked this and actually lock somebody down on it, then we all but know exactly whose ideology is really being pushed here. That's what we really got to think about it. At the time of Roe, 30 states still prohibited abortions in all stages. In the years prior to that decision, about a third of the states had liberalized their laws, but Roe abruptly ended that political process. It imposed the same highly restrictive regime on the entire nation, and it effectively struck down the abortion laws of every single state. As Justice Byron Wright aptly put in his dissent, the decision represented an exercise of raw judicial power, and it sparked a national controversy that has embittered our political cultures for more than half a century. Eventually, in Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania versus Casey, the court revisited Roe, but the members of the court were split in three ways. Two justices expressed no desire to change Roe in any way, four others wanted them to overrule the decision entirely, and the remaining three justices who jointly signed the controlling opinion took a third position. Their opinion did not endorse Roe's reasoning and even hinted that one or more of the authors might have reservations about whether the Constitution protects their rights to abortion, but the opinion concluded that the stare decisis, which calls for prior decisions to be followed in most instances, requiring adherence to what's called Roe's central holding, that a state may not constitutionally protect fetal life before viability, even though the holding was wrong. Anything less, the opinion claimed, would undermine the respect for the court and the rule of law. Paradoxically, the judgment in Casey did a fair amount of overruling. Several important abortion decisions were overruled in toto, and Roe itself was overruled in part. Casey threw out Roe's trimester scheme and substituted a new uncertain origin under the states were forbidden to adopt any regulation that imposed an undue burden on a woman's right to have an abortion. You remember all this? You getting this all down? Because he's being pretty clear about it, is that there was never a constitutional right to abortion, and it very clearly does dictate that, murder is, you don't have a right to murder. And at the same time, we can see how the other side would be talking about a woman's right to life, but then again, I think back in the 50s, a guy would be like, oh, well, if a woman doesn't want to have a baby, well, maybe she should open up her fucking legs. But then again, what have we gone throughout the history since the 70s, in the days of the sexual liberation of everybody, and look at where we are today. We have people literally trying to teach kids in preschool K 1, 2, 3, 4 about sex. They're trying to make sexuality the way that you identify outwardly in society. So, is this just part for the course in a world that has turned its objectivity into sexuality? I don't know. But what I do know is that this definitely is going to create quite the row. Quite the row, if you would ask me so. And think about it. Where does it all come from? If you guys don't know, remember that Jane Roe is actually a woman named Norma McCorvey. And Norma McCorvey was the person that basically started this whole entire thing off in the very beginning. And remember, she didn't actually have an abortion. Yeah. McCorvey stated that her involvement in Roe was the biggest mistake of her life, and she stood fast by that until she had a deathbed confession, so to speak, which is actually a video that was put out for an FX documentary that we will take a look at, that talks about how she says that before her death, she was paid to be a pro-abortion, or she was paid to be against abortion rights, and she did so as an act until her dying days. But regardless of who it was, she was acting when she did the whole Roe controversy in the very beginning, and then somebody offered to pay her some more money to move over to their side, and she was more than happy to oblige, only at the end of her life to proclaim in a video that was cut together that she in fact was acting. But that's the woman behind this whole entire thing. Norma McCorvey is the person that thrusted all of this upon us. But specifically, it wasn't her. If you don't remember, or if you weren't around for that time, it was actually very correct that somebody else actually pushed her into this thing. And if you don't remember, it was a law in Texas that they were trying to create. It was in Texas. Texas, the same state that has now some of the most harshest abortion laws, because they're no longer caring about what the federal government has to say about this situation, because it's all about the constituents. And what do you think? Well, obviously places like Denver, California, maybe even Nevada aren't going to be changing the way that they view the abortions. But there's a whole host of other states that have already enacted laws or anything else and basically been like, F you to the government, because they just don't agree with this, what has been happening here. And if you go and look up Norma McCorvey's name, you can see that there was a lot that people were saying about her and why she switched sides, right? And, you know, I told you, if you go to FX Networks, Norma McCorvey, aka Jane Roe, gives a startling confession.
Well, I think it was a mutual thing. You know, I took their money and they put me out in front of the cameras and told me what to say, and that's what I'd say.
Wow.
I took their money and they put me out in front of the cameras and told me what to say. That's what I'd say.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Give me an example of what you'd say.
We've gathered here today to pay homage to the children that are being aborted in this abortuary. We're doing this because abortion is wrong. And I, as the former Jane Roe of Roe versus Wade, do regret signing the affidavit for the pro-abortion camps. That was probably about it.
It was all an act.
It was all an act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it well, too.
I did it well, too. She's got Gloria Albright there. They got the FX people in there. You could go watch this on FX Networks. I believe it's on Hulu, but AKA Jane Roe is basically a confessional which goes over Norma McCorvey's life once again, where she flip-flops from being pro-life back to being, I guess, pro-abortion.
I am a good actress. Of course, I'm not acting now.
She's not acting now, though. But she did it well. She's not acting now, though. It wasn't an act. Now.
That really hurts because...
Really hurts.
Jakes. It's big stakes. It's just really big stakes.
It's really big stakes. These are really big stakes. Well, guess what, lady on the screen? These are the biggest stakes that you ever seen in your life, because, well, the only reason that was ever enacted is because some people could say that was probably the biggest motion that the judicial branch has pretty much ever taken on everyone across the country. And why have they changed their decisions on it thus far? More than likely because science, right? Remember science? People trust the science. You guys are supposed to trust science, supposed to trust the jab, supposed to trust all this other stuff. Well, the science doesn't agree, and there's no way that somebody could agree with what they were saying, because they found out that, you know what, you can actually have a viable fetus from a lot farther. Fuck, they're growing these motherfuckers now, even though technically cloning is supposed to be illegal and shit, but you know, they figured out a few things about that. Let's just say it. So if we're following the science and we're going forward on all of this stuff, and to all the people in the chat that are trying to jump the gun and say names and all this stuff, ain't nobody fucking asked you to post anything in the chat, so shut the fuck up. Thank you. Because I have it, and we're getting there. Stop jumping the gun and ruining it for everybody else. We're trying to do a thing here. God damn it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you doing the show? No. Then shut up. God. Ah! Hate that shit. Don't you? I do. God. So, if you go back and you review everything that was being said, the last thing that came out about Norma McCorvey, because it was known for a very long time that she had basically switched sides and they basically didn't want to talk about it. It wasn't right up into her death sometime around 2020 that this FX documentary came out, and this basically was their first start to basically changing the narrative once again, because obviously back in 2020, people were really worried about the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. And, well, 2 years later, now I see it. You see it. You hate to see it, but you do see it. And now, I've been kind of looking at the latest tweets, but, incels in front of the Soctus building screaming because they want to murder babies.
Okay, Evan, go back! I will get a Skype on my phone.
We will not go back!
Does she have
We will not go back!
Okay.
We will not go back! We will not!
Okay, Evan,
We will not go back!
I will get a Skype on my phone. Just give me
will
1
not
minute.
go back!
But yes, this is what's happening right now over the damn thing. People are pissed, dude. Ladies are pissed. They're out there protesting. They're out there saying everything. This is the scene outside of the Supreme Court right now.
Where's the baby? Don't pick on a little baby.
Don't pick on a baby.
You know that abortion is
God, try to do a show and then people come in the chat and blow everything because they want to be the smart one. Fucking do your own goddamn show, goddammit. God damn it!
Sexist culture's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexist culture's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Sexist culture's got to go! Hey, hey!
So if you're pro-life, you're now a fascist, by the way. And what they're basically saying there is, hey ho, fascists has gotta go. Are they calling the Supreme Court justices fascists? Why, yes. Yes, they are. That's exactly what they're fucking saying.
Got to go! Hey, hey!
But I'm actually not seeing a whole bunch of stuff, but for everybody out there, a guy named Matt Walking, the first person to ever mention it on the internet to bring the information out about who could have possibly have leaked this, Rachel, was a guy named Matt Walking. He says, a person called Amit Jain works for the Supreme Court, Justice Sonia Sotomayor. As a Yale student, Jain blasted Yale for supporting Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Jain was quoted in 2017 in Politico's piece on Josh Gernstein, and today Gernstein published the draft for the Soctus opinion on Roe. So credit goes to where credit is due. Mr. Walking was the first person to actually figure this little bit of information out because he was looking at the names of people and folks that have been going, and it's not 100% either. This could be wrong. It could have been somebody else or whatever, but when utilizing reductionist theory in association to these ridiculous libtards, it's actually pretty easy to figure out because they're always patting each other on the back. They're always using the same individuals. And obviously this person's already been involved in the Supreme Court bullshit. So it's more likely actually this dude, Amit Jain, that actually leaked it to Politico because you know what? He's actually had dealings with Gerstein, the guy that actually posted this in the beginning that was saying, yep, Josh Gerstein right there and Alexander Ward, those two, they're the ones that were actually associated with all that. So we got to say, breaking news from Matt, Rachel. But yes, so do we care about norms? Is a brave court taking an unprecedented step to leaking the draft opinion to warn the country of what's coming in a last-ditch Hail Mary to attempt to see if the public response might cause the court to reconsider? Or is Brian Fallon now a terrorist? Yeah, and just in case you wanted to know what Amit Jain looks like, that's what Amit Jain looks like. we're not doxing anybody or anything like that. It's a publicly available photo. I just wanted to put a face to the name. And honestly, he does kind of look like a baby killer to me. I'm not saying that he's killed babies or anything like that. I just say that he probably supports it. He probably supports it, right? So, should this guy, like, be going to prison for treason? Well, nobody knows because nobody's 100%. And see, I had it actually up. See, look, I clicked that through, but look, I had it up. I was getting there. Jesus. But yes. And he works for this justice, which is Sonia Sotomayor. She's probably one of the 2 justices that decided that they were going to be against the decision or whatever. And I mean, she's just an evil looking lady. Honestly, she looks like, she's had a few abortions in her life and she doesn't care about any of them. But, it is what it is. She somehow got to be a Supreme Court justice. It kind of makes you wonder who's the other one. Was it Kenji Brown Jackson or was it Amy Coney Barnett? I don't know. I don't know. Hey, ho, ho, fucking fascists got to go. Hey, ho, ho, fascists got to go. Yeah, dude, you gotta raise your kids now, sucker. Ain't no more getting abortions. Sorry, Planned Parenthood, y'all need to get into a new business. Now, here's a question. Hey, ho, ho, checking out a bunch of hoes, right? Is that what we're saying? So think about it. When was the draft released? Because we could look at that, but don't you see all of these people out here all of a sudden? Like, how did they all get there? Like, was it planned for all of them to get there? How did that happen? Did they just like hear about this a couple hours ago and they're already in Washington D.C. with chants and shit? How did that work? Like, was this planned? Because it feels really planned, if you ask me. Because literally the Politico article went out. They were already setting up barriers in front of the Supreme Court. Now we got a bunch of people up in front of the Supreme Court chanting shit. And that was fast. That was fast for even America. I mean, think about it. The January 6th insurrection bullshit had to be planned over like a couple of months. And this is just like, boom. Within a day, the Democrats are here. It just, seems strange. Did they book all the hotels? It's like now that men can have babies, women aren't the only one that have the rights to abortion anymore, That's that new thing, because men can have babies now because, like we got all the new genders and shit or whatever. So something to think about. They got sands. That's a printed sign. That's a printed sign on a stick and shit. Did they just have all of this set up? Do they just have like an abortion sign sitting in their room that are just like, oh fuck, abortion man, I gotta get out there. I want to get out there. But yeah, it's kind of out. This is kind of like where we are right now. If you think about it, it's like we understand that people get raped and stuff. People understand that, they do make this thing called adoption or whatever. You can't put your baby up for adoption. You got family members and shit. Maybe if you would have discussed it with them a little bit more or whatever. I remember, we talked about it at the very beginning of the show when, I almost had a child with the women, and we were going to get married and shit. But she decided that she didn't want to ruin her life and made a decision without me. Basically, and then, I never got to meet my kid. I could have had a kid. I'd have taken care of him. I'd have let her do whatever she wanted to do. Be like, fine. get rid of me, you know, go to college, have all your fun, live the life that you want to live. But, you know, I'll just take the kid, though. You know, I'll take the kid. I'll ruin my life. I will. But I never got to make that decision. And I think that's the other side of these things, is that it's crazy that, you know, people want to be so one-sided on this situation. But, you know, I'm a Catholic. I've always been pro-life. You know, I've always been pro-life. I don't believe that anybody has any right to murder anybody. And bad shit happens to you. I want bad shit to happen to that person that did bad shit to you. But I'm not going to give you carte blanche to take somebody else out. Like, there's always another fucking way. Like, there's always another way. There's always been another way. It's always been another way. And now I'm like, you know, some girl says, oh, well, I have to be pregnant for 9 months because some guy did something to me. And then what she doesn't think, but what happens when it's like a girl that you know, you thought you were in love with and shit, and they take away that, you know? I've had to live for like years, over 20 years of my life with that. And you know what? I never wanted to, but somebody made me, and I feel like I got raped. Honestly, it sucks. But I'm a man, so, you know, I don't get to have those feelings. I don't get to have those feelings. And it's rough. So here we are, you know, like there's a massive group of people already out there projecting, whatever. And even then, you know, it's like, it's not like in my situation, it was a one-night stand. We were regular boyfriend and girlfriend for a long time. It's just that her parents were the ones that were like, oh, you don't want to have a baby with that loser Mexican or whatever. And they made the decision. They made the decision without me. Without me. It could happen to you. It could happen to you too. And, you know, it kind of makes you want to go back to this.
If you're going to protest something as nebulous as freedom, then you can't encroach on others.
I'm not sure I understand. Is nebulous as freedom?
The concept of a nebulous freedom. They don't have a specific title, a specific...
Thanks, DS, for becoming a subscriber. Whoever the hell you are, welcome to the channel.
Specific reason for being here. They're all over the place, and all they're doing is suppressing Ottawa residents, Ottawa businesses. We are being harassed and held hostage for their supposed encroachments on freedom. What does a single fucking white man have to say to anybody about a bodily autonomy freedoms?
I'm not sure what race has to do with it.
I didn't say anything about race.
You said a white man.
Single white man, sure, race.
Okay, so I mean, what does race have to do with it? When I look at people that are gathering here today, it's right across the multi-diverse spectrum.
No more comments.
Oh, okay then. Well,
no more comments. No more comments. I don't know why I had that one in there, but it reminded me. You know, the whole thing falls apart when you realize that, you know, what we're really fighting for, you know? Seriously, shout out to whoever the hero was within the Supreme Court who said, fuck it, let's burn this place down. Because, I mean, that's basically what they said, right? Like, you know, they don't care about the rule of law anymore. They don't care about the highest court of the land anymore. They don't care about any of the stuff. They actually leaked something from the Supreme Court because they didn't like it or whatever. They wanted to get these judges attacked or something. They wanted to create an insurrection, and now we have a real insurrection happening in our country to the point where what's going to happen, dude? I don't know, man, but I'm worried sick watching what's going on down over there because it ain't good, you know? I was happy to have a fun, drama-free night watching some old Patrick Swayze movies, and then we check into Twitter, and the shit is like this. You know? That's what it's like. That's what it's like right now. That's what it's like. So I think that we're all aware that they must have known something was up. The administration, the Biden administration knew something was up because they were quick as fuck to start adding gates around the Supreme Court as soon as they figured out that that thing was leaked. It happened. It happened almost immediately. And now we have people out there protesting. And I mean, Twitter's losing its shit. The Soctus blog says it's impossible to overstate the earthquake that this will cause inside the court. In the terms of destruction of trust among the justices and staff, this leak is the gravest, most unforgivable sin. And I can't disagree with that, because that's exactly what they just fucking did. They just took the Constitution and they wiped their fucking asses with it. They took everything that every single American is supposed to stand up for and hold dear and respect, and they shit on it. That's what they just did. And if you see it any other way, you're the fucking insurrectionist. You're a literal terrorist, because this is supposed to be the highest court in the land, right? It's supposed to be the top, the tippity top. And what do you know? And let's not even get into the point of there's now the morning after pill that can be prescribed to you or whatever. You know, there's that. But all of that shit doesn't matter, is because they literally just tried to take that pill in this situation. But you know it's bad when they say it's impossible to overstate the earthquake that this is going to cause inside of the court. Could you imagine that you were being arrested and then all of a sudden somebody started leaking confidential documents from the judge out to the press to make sure that even though you were innocent, you went to jail or something like that? Because this is basically the same thing. This just doesn't happen. And when it does happen, it gets nipped in the ass. But now it's happening in the highest court of the land. Leaks. Like this is the FBI or something like that. And somebody's leaking something because they want Trump to go down because he's colluding with Russia. Even though that was a made up situation. And it's being litigated right now. And guess what? They're getting caught for it, like everybody said that they were going to get caught for it. So what are we supposed to do at this particular time? Other than say, the law doesn't matter anymore. Is that what they're telling us? We don't care about the law. We don't care about the Supreme Court justices or whatever. We'd rather just let the whole thing burn. That's what they did. That's how you know that this is not going to go the way that they wanted to. And think about it. 26 states are certain or likely to ban abortion without Roe versus Wade. And there's already an update right here. Analysis has been updated to reflect the enactment of the trigger ban in March of 2020. If Roe versus Wade is overturned, updated information will be added at the Florida 2020 legislation and the mention of California's pre-Roe abortion ban. So, yeah. They still haven't updated their article just yet, but you know they're going to, because that's how fast this is all happening. If the Supreme Court overturns Roe or guts Roe versus Wade, 26 states are already certain or likely to ban it, which we already knew a bunch of them are already working to do so. And now, well, I guess it's going to be a thing. And last time I checked, is 26 is more than 24, which would mean that more states support it than don't support it. But then again, it's up to the individual states. And obviously the left coast, or the west coast, best coast, whatever, they're going to be all about it. We know New York and some of these other places are, but for the majority of the rest of the United States, it ain't going to be like that. So if you understand what's happening, then there's trigger bans, which we've been seeing for a while now, where they basically have designed laws to be triggered to take effect automatically or by quick state action if Roe versus Wade no longer applies, which basically says it's going to happen now. And we got a lot of individuals like Arkansas, Texas, so on and so forth. So far, I think the only ones they say that are likely are 4, but they still don't really know what's going to happen with it. But that's the thing, is that it's going to become a state issue like it should have always been in the first place. If you live in a state that, doesn't conform to your ideology, woke person, you can always fucking move. Yeah, why don't you move to California anyway? Oh, is it too expensive to live in woke land? I'm sorry. You know, everybody's got to make hard decisions. I'm just one of those people that no longer wants to let other people make hard decisions for me or without my approval. And I don't think I'll ever change on that one because I don't make carte blanche decisions for everyone else, and I don't think people should be doing to make it all do this. So, what are we even supposed to be saying right now other than, you know...
Time busted.
What's this?
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Every day I'm hustling, hustling, hustling. Yeah. They said it was going to be these guys that were going to be doing it, but Donald Trump didn't have to do anything. He's not even president anymore. He's not even president.
Stand up to this kind of thing. We owe it to the American people not to be intimidated by these tactics.
I literally am gonna die. I need an ambulance. I can't believe it.
And we are grateful
So
to President Obama.
It's so close. Whoa. 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 So, where do we go? Well, Norma McCorvey, she told us what she felt about the whole situation. Hold on, we got to watch the stupid commercial real quick for Trulicity, some type of injectable drug.
Hear the deathbed confession from the woman at the center of the landmark Roe versus Wade decision legalizing abortion in
This
the
is
US.
Turtle, man.
The new documentary, a.k.a. Jane Roe,
Turtle.
focusing on Norma McCorvey.
Turtle.
In a move that surprised many, she became an outspoken
Turtle
opponent
wait,
of
hold
abortion
up.
rights. And
Like Turtle from Arizona or like Turtle from fucking that one TV show that I had all those people that I knew from probably Turtle from Arizona.
1995. And she revealed why shortly before her death in 2017, claiming she'd been paid by anti-abortion rights groups in 1995 to speak out that way.
Did they use you as a trophy?
Of course.
Did they
I
use
was
you
the
as a
big fish.
trophy? I was a big
Do you
fish.
think they would say that you used them?
Well, I think it was a mutual thing. You know, I took their money and they put me out in front of the cameras and told me what to say, and that's what I'd say.
It was all an act?
Yeah. I did it well, too. I am
was
a good
all an act.
actress. Of course, I'm not acting now.
It was all an
At the
act.
end of her life, she wanted to make it clear her support for reproductive rights after all, saying, quote, "That's why they call it choice." a.k.a. Jane Roe premieres Friday on FX.
And call your doctor right away if you have.
Yeah, think about that, dude. AKA Jane Roe. That's what the FX documentary is called. And I guess if you go look in there, you can see it was all part of it. Rob Schenck, Lauren Faye Smith, Gloria Allred, Flip Benham, Charlotte Taft, Andy Messer, Delaney Dillon. But yes, you can actually go see that, aka you can stream it on Hulu. I recommend that. Since it's one of those situations, normally I wouldn't tell you to go watch some shit, but I believe that it would be in your best interest to go review this film because it's history. You know, we're making a big change, or allegedly about to be making a big change since the last really big change back in 1973. I think that we all at least owe it to ourselves to see the information from all angles, because for a while there was a really big problem, wasn't there, with in America with sex and rape and drugs and crime. And it's really weird that all of a sudden this whole situation seems to be starting up again, and now it's on the very precipice of everything that everyone's talking about. And just because it happened, you know, just because we're showing you little things here and there that were being posted on Twitter, you know, this is real. They're calling it the most unforgivable sin. It's the gravest, most unforgivable sin. That's what Socrates is saying. And then the protesters that are standing outside of the Supreme Court right now are basically saying, you guys overturning Roe versus Wade is the gravest, most unforgivable sin. It's like they want us completely landlocked and fighting against each other. That's what's happening. And honestly, what is this? Jack Posobiec. Lib Kirks are trying to influence the Supreme Court decision by leaking, identify, and arrest at once. Yeah, right. You really think, Jack, you think Joe Biden's going to arrest his people like that? I don't think so, dude. Do you know who we're dealing with? Do we know who we're dealing with? Oral arguments made it obvious that the court will overturn Roe and Casey, properly returning abortion regulations to the states. This unprecedented leak is stunning, shameful, and likely illegal attempt to obstruct the court's deliberation on a pending case. This leak of a pending case puts the lives of justices in danger. They must issue its decision immediately. Yeah. NBC are basically saying Republicans are Nazis. The same org that covered up Hunter Biden's laptop had Harvey Weinstein's story early and killed it, and built Matt Lauer's his rape office. Lovely people. These are lovely fucking people, guys. Elon, you're right. Sorry I said all those bad things about you, you fucking bastard. The alleged leak of the opinion in Dobbs versus Jackson, the Women's Health Organization, is nothing short of breathtaking. It would constitute one of the gravest breaches of security in the history of the court. This article represents the greatest crisis that Chief Justice John Roberts has faced in his tenure in the court. It is a breach of the most fundamental obligations and traditions of the court. If this is a true copy of the draft opinion, it is not hard to view this as a malicious act. What is the motivation of releasing such a decision? The only intent of such a leak is to trigger response from the outside of the court. This draft is from February, and the majority can shift on such opinions. However, the act of leaking such a draft opinion ranks as an original sin for judicial ethics. The most likely the motivation is to obviously pressure the court and push the legislation in Congress on federal abortion law before the midterm elections. It will also likely renew the call for court packing. So, wait. If we go back to the very top of the document, we can see that, yes, it was February 2022. So, not only did these individuals have this draft opinion for over how many months now? What, isn't it May? So that's about 3 months. 2 months if you want to be 2 to 3 months. Somewhere in there. Don't know the exact date that it's released, but based on what we're seeing, that it says, oh, it was circulated on February 10th of 2020. So they had it throughout March and throughout April, and they finally decided to leak it in May. Very, very interesting indeed. They chose a very, very particular time to release this information. And as I told you, it took about 2 to 3 months for people to set up the whole January 6th insurrection thing, didn't it? Well, now all of those people with all of those signs and everything kind of makes a little bit more sense when looking at this, because it was clearly a planned event for them to release this information and have people already on the wings ready to go, which is even more crazy when you think about it. This is some shady shit, if you ask me, because they made a conscious decision to distract the American people from what? Twitter? Elon Musk? Or is it Nina Jankowicz and the Ministry of Disinformation, or whatever the fuck they're gonna call that shit now? I don't know. But Dobbs versus Jackson's and court opinions, there's been quite a bit of them, because they've been talking about it for quite some time, and this case has been going on for quite some time. So there's got to be something that they're trying to roll or hide against, and there hasn't really been a ruling on it yet. Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization is pending a U.S. Supreme Court case dealing with the constitutionality of the 2018 Mississippi law that banned abortion operations after the first 15 weeks of thing. So they're not even done with oral arguments. They're not done with anything. They just decided to throw it out there on the table and do what with it? Nobody really knows, do we? But now we kind of do know, don't we? Abortion is still legal. The Supreme Court draft opinion, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, is not yet final. The end of Roe would have devastating ripple effects across the country, but for now, abortion is still legal, so we can still celebrate that we're killing babies and stuff. All right. Right. Kind of see how it's really shaken down now, isn't it? Kind of changes your perspective from what they're really trying to do here. Maybe it's all those food factories that they're burning down. I don't know. Do I know? I don't think I've ever really known. But now that we kind of see who's been doing what, we can all start to realize that I think they want us at each other's throat no matter what. Don't we? It was 3 hours ago they were already saying that they were set up with gates and shit. And within hours, this is what's happening.
Where's the babies? Don't pick on a little baby. I mean, come on. In your heart of hearts, you know that abortion.
So in less than 2 hours, it went from nothing to something. Yeah.
And this is Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I just want to make an announcement, and I'm sorry I'm overwhelmed with emotion because this is the best news of our lifetime. The Supreme Court has voted to overturn abortion rights. There's a draft opinion out now to overturn Roe versus Wade, and this is a great victory. It's a great victory for God and the unborn who have been innocently slain
and slaughtered
for years, my entire lifetime. And I'll just read this. It says, Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Its reasoning was exceptionally weak, and the decision has had damaging consequences. Over 63 million unborn have been murdered in the
63 million
innocent people. And far from bringing about a national settlement of the abortion issue, Roe and Casey have inflamed debate and deepened division. And this was from Justice Samuel Alito in his initial draft, his majority opinion. I want to urge everyone to continue to pray. People all over our country, people all over the world have been praying to end abortion. And I want you to understand that there is going to be a major pushback in our country because there's going to be people that are going to fight to keep it. And they're going to fight to keep murdering the innocent unborn. But I want you to dig in. I want you to dig in prayer and faith and continue to pray that this
your holy innocence isn't gone. You've just decided not to recognize it within yourself. When you finally do, that little thing inside of you, the prime mover that gets you moving, connects you to Jesus, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, still's gonna be there, and it's still gonna want to talk to you and be like, hey man, it ain't ever too late. Thanks for the follow for that person over there on D-Live. Storms up.
This actually comes true when they do release their opinion that Roe versus Wade will be overturned and abortion will end. This will turn the rights back to the states. And I urge every single strong pro-life state to end it. Thank you very much.
You know, some people like Papka in the chat says that America is regressing, but I say that America is going back to being the good America that it once was. I mean, people are sick of these woke ideologies. People are sick of not following that light. People are sick of this fake morality that people are trying to thrust upon us. And I mean, honestly, I just played that video to trigger that one person or whatever, because on one side, you know, you're going to have people say, oh, well, now women aren't going to be able to get the life-saving abortion. Why did they call it life-saving abortion? Because somebody loses their life usually during an abortion, and it may not be the lady. And it doesn't say anything about that. It just says that the decision goes back to the states, where it should have been in the first place, so the states get to make those decisions, right? Right. Now that we've trusted the science and realized that, you know, things were wrong, even the highest court in the land seems to be agreeing with what most Americans actually feel. Maybe not the ones that for some reason can be in Washington, D.C. to protest. Maybe it's not those ones, but you know what? We do view and we do see that there's a huge division across the world in this particular situation. And I mean, some people think it's healthcare to kill somebody, but you know what? Try to get medically terminated by your doctor. It's a little bit hard.
You'd be like that with me. No, and I'm not an asshole. Because I don't want to be quiet about it. Because I want to be loud about it.
Everyone's just like sitting around saying like it's okay.
I'm not going to be fucking prayer quiet about it. I'm going to be a quiet mouse about them taking our rights away. What the fuck? Don't lecture me. I'm on the same side as you. Don't fucking lecture me. I'm not going to be a fucking church mouse about them taking our fucking rights. I'm not going to be a fucking church mouse about it. So don't fucking lecture me.
Why don't you yell over there instead of yelling over here?
Yeah,
well,
because she's lecturing me. What the fuck? We're on the
Get
same
angry.
side.
Are you guys angry?
No.
Are you guys angry? We're
angry.
gonna sit here and just.
Don't be like that with me. I'm not a fucking church mouse. Don't be like that with me.
Just like you do.
What the fuck?
Shut the fuck up!
What the fuck? Don't lecture me. You're a man. I'm a fucking woman. And I am not a goddamn church mouse for this fucking crap decision.
Cope and seize, ma'am. Cope and seize. You lost, baby killer. Woo!
Not a fucking church mouse.
Nothing going on in your life? Nothing better to do?
Fuck, buddy.
I bet she is vaxxed and boosted.
You can't show your own offspring anymore. Go live in your mom's basement. Duck watch.
Woo! Wow. That's pretty big.
Welcome to Hannity. All right, we begin with news just breaking
big.
right now at this minute, and we start with a Fox News alert. Now, according to a breaking new report from Politico, the U.S. Supreme Court has in fact voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. If this report turns out to be true, abortion will now be regulated at the state level, meaning it is not going to be illegal probably in most states in the United States. There'll be varying restrictions. One of the biggest issues involving this case has to do with whether or not Roe v. Wade, and this is what conservatives have often believed, constitutionalists have believed, originalists have believed, is that it enumerated a right that did not exist within the Constitution. What's interesting about this is the draft opinion, unflinching repudiation of the 73 decision guaranteeing a federal constitutional protection on abortion rights, as they report in Politico. Planned Parenthood versus Casey that largely maintained that right. If this report is true, Justice Alito writes, Roe was egregiously wrong from the...
We've already heard that a bunch of different times.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
Bonkers. This shit is bonkers.
My body! My body! My body!
Look at all the printed signs. Printed sign, printed sign, printed sign, printed sign, printed sign. They just got these things lying around.
My body!
And then I call out to the Nevada Republican convention and I'm all like, motherfuckers, these guys had less than 3 months to set this up, and they got printed signs and all the bullshit. Where were you guys at? You guys could have printed out some paper because your fucking printer was broken, and then when I told you that I was gonna fix it for you for free, you didn't let me? Are you guys like not thinking?
My body! My body! My body! My body! My body!
And then it makes you think about that whole my body, my choice thing. Wasn't that what people were saying about the whole vaccination thing? Eesh. Yeesh. Yeesh. Yeesh.
My body.
Yeesh.
My body.
Yeah. The more you go, you can see that it's just, there's a lot, dude. There's a lot of people talking a lot of stuff right now. And, what are we really going to say? What can we really say? I mean, as far as we know, the first person that mentioned anything about Amit Jain, who seems to be, who I guess Paul, aka 4chan, believes is the person that made the leak. Also what Matt Walking seems to be saying. So what's going to be happening? This guy allegedly works for Justice Sotomayor. Did Sotomayor have this thing leaked? Is there a precedent on what happens to a Supreme Court justice that violates the sanctity of this? Or are we all fucking wrong and was it Clarence Thomas that just dropped this shit out because he wanted to, do a flapper? So, I mean, it's really weird though, is because all these people are saying, oh, abortion rights, but now it goes back to the states. So what are they don't want to go to their state legislatures and actually vote on this shit? Is that what they don't want to do? They don't want to get it on the ballot and do the work to keep their inalienable right or whatever to murder people? I don't know. What I do know is that everybody's saying that it's either this lady or somebody associated with her. And what can we really say or do at that particular juncture? I don't know, man. Where's this dude's face? I know I had it over here somewhere. Did I accidentally close that one? I probably accidentally closed it. And it all has to roll back on this Roe situation. And it's getting pretty big. Because even so, Roe came out, said that she was going to need an abortion or whatever. Then she never actually had the abortion. And then the abortion rights were enshrined for everybody. And then later on, she changed her mind and said that she was pro-life. But then again, changed her mind before she died and said, oh, I got paid to say all that stuff. And that's what's really going down. Yeah. So how is it going to really be moving forward? And I don't really know, man. All I know is that Josh Gerstein and Alexander Ward are about to have a really fun time with this situation. I mean, that's all we could really say about it, because this is going to be something that's going to change a lot. What's this? A George W. Bush appointee who joined the court in 2006, Alito argues that the 1973 abortion rights ruling was ill-conceived and deeply flawed decision that invented a right mentioned nowhere in the Constitution and unwisely sought to wrench the contentious issue away from the political branches of government. That's what they believe. That's what the big news is here. And I don't think it's going to be changing for at least the foreseeable future. People are going to be very vocal about what's actually going to be happening. And we can go look at all of the justices, can't we? Out of all of them, we got Sotomayor, allegedly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 agreed, 2 disagreed. Who are the 2 that disagreed? Was it this one? Was it this one? Did she agree? Did she disagree? Was she with them? Like, what are we really going to do? What are we really going to say? I don't know. But all we do know is that it was circulated. It's circulated. It's out there in the world now. And people are losing their collective shit. Oh, yes. Yes, they are. So, what can we really say or do now? Can we say or do anything? I don't think so. I think the time for that is far removed, because this is an internal earthquake that's literally shaking the foundation of this very country in a way that Donald Trump never could. See, when January 6th happened, they were trying to make January 6th bigger than an event that just happened. January 6th, a bunch of idiots and idiots going and trying to talk to their congressman while they're in there allegedly trying to stop the election, an unfair election. And now we have an even bigger, more egregious sin that has happened. And we're all just going to have to sit by and watch how they deal with it. You know? That's basically it, dog. You know, they're saying that whoever did that shit is a hero. They're saying that whoever did that shit was a hero. I don't agree. I don't agree. So, there's people that are going to try to make reductionist arguments about events or individuals or what if it, and none of that shit matters. And you got to stand your ground at this point, because now that people know, you're really going to see the true face of America rear its ugly head. And it's going to be brutal. Me thinks. It's going to be brutal. And what are we going to do about it? I don't think we could do. Yeah. Kind of crazy, actually, dude. This is where it's at. So, what are they actually going to do now? I don't know, man. But now we actually know. Well, we know what's actually up. If we would have known a couple of months ago, what would it have done to all of us? I don't know. But what I do know is that shit's about to get real fucking cray-cray. Shit's getting real cray-cray. Shit is getting cray-cray. 1,000 people at least. So, what are we gonna do? We're not going backwards, guys. We're not going backwards, guys. We don't want to go backwards. Don't go backwards. Is America going backwards, or are we taking a big step forwards in states' rights and freedom? Because abortion's not gone. There's still a bunch of states that are definitely pro-abortion. You can move there. You can go do all that stuff. I'm just never going to understand the need or want to take someone else's life, or a life that's growing inside of myself. And, you know, I'm a man. I can get pregnant according to the internet and Netflix. So, like, I actually can make these decisions now, apparently. Although, I don't think I'm going to have a kid because I don't want that shit to come out of my pee-pee hole or whatever. That would suck. That would suck, man. That would suck. Yeah, dude, where is Ray Epps when you need him to start up some shit? You don't need Ray Epps for that, dude. They started some shit by themselves, man. It's gonna get real bad. It's gonna get really bad. Like, we thought it was bad before. You thought that the insurrection was bad? You thought January 6th was bad? Shit. This is fixing to be the worst thing that ever happened. And we definitely didn't need it right now. But guess what? It's happening. They did it. So we're just all going to have to watch it go down. It's just going to be ugliness, dude. We're going to see some ugly shit. this is an ugly situation because there's no way that you can bring this up in casual conversation and have it end in a good fashion. Somebody's going to hear you. Somebody's going to be super opinionated, egotistical, whatever the fuck about whatever their thoughts are on this particular thing. You're going to hear some of the worst arguments that you've ever heard in your entire life. Like some of these people that are coming into my chat and, like telling me I don't understand what this is all about, or I don't get the right to choose for somebody else. And I'm not making the decision here. It's the Supreme Court justices. It's the law of the land who said that the decision was wrong. Sometimes people change their minds, guys. That's how it works in the world. Things change. That's what you told us. That's what they taught us. That's what the woke crew taught us, that, trans people and gay rights and all this other stuff was going to happen, and we all let it happen. We all expected it or whatever. And so people had some problems with the whole abortion thing, but is it those people that are changing the minds of the justices? No. They changed their own minds. They made their own decision. And then somebody decided to leak this shit because they just don't care about the America that they live in. They don't understand like how virulently vile the act that they just committed. They don't understand that the thing that they just did by leaking this information before it was time is definitely the worst stain on our country's history, far greater, 2 times 1,000. And that's just the act of leaking this little thing, because they literally are making people lose faith in the highest court in the land. Like, this is clown shoes. If you are yelling at me about abortion rights or whatever, you could cry yourself to sleep, because I don't give a fuck. I don't care about that. I care about what they just did to our country. With one little motion, they just killed the rule of law in a way that people are never going to be able to fix. We're never going to be able to trust these people anymore, you guys. It's over. America's done. They just killed it. And when you go look at the information, disinformation czar, this is so bad. This is bad. This is bad. Like, abortion's not gone. It's just that now states get to decide whether it happens or not in their area, like they've always been able to. But does it matter anymore? No, because they literally just destroyed the country for real. For real. And thanks, Purple Rain, for that ice cream. Appreciate that. And then Billy T of WV, $5 to Super Chat. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Appreciate you. I mean, here we were just crying about Elon Musk. And thanks again to Billy T of WV. We appreciate that $5 to the Super Chat. Appreciate that. Here we were just hearing them cry about losing Twitter. And then in order to change the news cycle off of what's happening in Twitter and this disinformation shit, they leaked this, thinking that this was the move. This was the fucking idea that they wanted to go with. This shit's scary, dude. This is the scariest shit. This is the scariest shit. This is way scarier than a Donald Trump presidency, because this shit would have never happened under his watch. And if it did, people would be pissed. So think about it. This is the way that the news talks to you. This is the way they talk about you.
I mean, it's easy in American discourse to talk simplistically about the far left and the far right as two equally dangerous fringe blocks. Elon Musk has done it plenty of times just in the past week. But here's the difference. America's far left wants to give us free healthcare and free childcare. America's far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. And this asymmetrical polarization of US politics would be laughable if it weren't so horrifying. We are living through an unspeakably dangerous moment. The pro-QAnon, pro-neo-Nazi faction of the Republican Party is poised to expand dramatically come the midterms. We're just 2 years away from Donald Trump very possibly re-seizing executive power. If that happens, we may look back on this past week as a pivotal moment, when a petulant and not so bright billionaire casually bought one of the world's most influential messaging machines and just handed it to the far right. I'm joined now by Molly Jong-Fast, a contributing writer at The Atlantic and the author of the Wait What News.
That's how they were talking about Elon Musk buying Twitter. How do you think they're going to be talking about this?
I mean, it's easy in American discourse to talk.
How do you think they're going to be talking about this? The document leaked to Politico is almost certainly an authentic draft by Jay Alito that reflects what he believes at least 5 members of the court have voted to support, overruling Roe, but also, as Alito's draft, it does not reflect comments or reactions of other justices. Yeah. Think about that. Think about it. On one end, they're doing one thing. On another end, they're doing this sort of thing.
Come on, because this is everyone's gonna hear what we're talking about. Good. I hope they do.
No, it wouldn't.
No. First of all, you guys don't want it to happen. Hold your horses. 18 years and older. I thought the kid was 18. I wasn't looking.
You knew he wasn't 18. You might be a good talker. Not this time.
I was here to hang to talk then. I gotta go.
You don't have.
Bill the Hunter, a leak like that has never happened before in the history of the court. But hey, don't you guys worry. We're going to have this lady right here, old Nina Jankowicz, to let you know that your information is either deemed disinformation or state-approved information. Was this what they were trying to cover up? Because, yeah, it didn't seem like that was the move. Doesn't seem like that was the move. Editor's note on the story we just published. Team, just now our site we've published a story along with the accompanying sidebar document of the draft Supreme Court opinion that would overturn Roe versus Wade. After an extensive review process, we are confident of the authenticity of the draft. This unprecedented view into the judge's deliberation is plainly news of great public interest. We take our responsibilities to our readers and our publication with the greatest seriousness. Our obligation, as protected by the First Amendment, is to report the news and inform our audience. Our journalism speaks for itself here, and that's no different here. Really? Really? They just can't have it, can they? You know? They just can't have it, can they? Like, they feel like they're going to lose the midterms and there's going to be a big red wave, and they think that they're going to be able to fight against this when they're fighting a battle on 2 fronts. They're going to be fighting against the abortion demon, and they're going to be fighting against the Republicans to keep their offices after literally some of the worst years in American history thus far. I mean, bad things have been happening, and then they decided to put this shit out because they thought that they was going to get them a little bit of credit or something. Yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it did. And it all comes down to good old Norma McCorvey. This all started with her. And she's not even around to see it. She died in 2017. She's been gone for a while. And now all of this is happening. And you can see that they were fighting for this all the way back in 2020, 2022. They were making movies. They were doing everything. There's no way in my mind that we could see it. And these are the same people that are out there claiming that a shadow crew of billionaires urged Elon Musk to buy Twitter, even though they got no fucking evidence of any of that. Many things, Raz. Why all the things Elon Musk decided Twitter is something that he alone could fix? The answer we discovered is a secret crew of billionaires, misfits, egging him on behind the scenes. My shadow crew is sick! Who are they again? I have a shadow crew? By the way, I'm on Elon Musk's shadow crew or whatever. I was up in his ears telling him that he needs to buy Twitter and fix this shit so I can get my account back. Oh shit, Sewer Gyrov sent me a diamond. I haven't gotten a diamond in for fucking ever, bro. Dude, I didn't even know D-Live was still existing. I didn't know. Oh. But here, I wanted to show you this since we're talking about Nina Jankowicz. Did you know that she worked with the Williams Center? She was a former fellow of the Fulbright Clinton Public Policy Clinton like Bill Clinton? Well, let's just go to Nina Jankowicz on the Wikipedia right here. Yeah, Nina Jankowicz, born in 1988, 1989, American researcher, author specializing in disinformation, and is the executive director of the United States Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board. Jankowicz attended Bryn Mawr College, double majoring in Russian and political science. She attended a semester at Herzl State Pedagogical University in Russia in 2010 and graduated in 2011. In 2017, she was a Fulbright Fellow in Kiev, working with the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine. She has also served as a Disinformation Fellow at the Woodrow Wilson Center as the supervisor of Russia and Belarus programs at the National Democratic Institute. She's the author of 2 books, How to Lose the Information War and How to Be a Woman Online, and she has contributed to the Washington Post and the New York Times. On the 18th of October 2020, Jankowicz testified at the United States House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence concerning online misinformation. Really? So, wait a minute. She spent some time in Russia? Wow, she double majored in political science and Russian. You would think that she would be pretty pro-Russia at that point, wouldn't you? I would. And then she spent some time working in Ukraine? Oh, really? You mean during the same time that good old Hunter Biden was doing work in Ukraine? Wow. And now she's the person on the Disinformation Governance Board? Shit. Damn. Disinfo Fellow is a very interesting title. That's a very interesting title. But now she's the head of the Disinformation Governance Board for the United States Department of Homeland Security. And she was also one of those people that was saying that the laptop for Hunter Biden, that was a Russian disinformation story. She was also behind being one of those people that was pushing the Steele dossier and the whole Russia disinformation that the Hillary Clinton campaign paid to have put out on Donald Trump. So I guess you could say that, you know, she's definitely good at making disinformation and promoting disinformation. So she would be an ideal candidate for the governance of disinformation for the Department of Homeland Security, since she's very apt at promoting and creating disinformation, which is cool. And she also has she likes musical theater. Yes, she likes to sing. Nina Jankowicz does. Old Nina Jank. Nina Jankowicz! Jankowicz! I kind of like that name, Jankowicz or whatever. It's like, some good shit, dude.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So, disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared bad intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote. Oh!
This is the point of the show. We're going to say we're kidding, we're making all of this up. It's not really happening in the country you were born in, but it is happening. That's now a law enforcement official.
It's happening, bros. It's really happening. And, you know, she was, like, admitting what she did, so, you know, this is even weirder.
Baby, I have had one dream in mind, and each Christmas I think maybe it will finally come true. It's a simple wish that everyone has had from time to time, so I know you'll understand me when I share my dream with you. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. Step on all my enemies and never do a thing. I want to be rich, famous, and powerful. So all I have to do in life is sit around and sing. I don't want to work, struggle, or compromise. When I set a goal, I want to reach it right away. 'Cause paying your dues.
This bitch is talented as fuck, man.
My other goals is eventually to get my yoga teacher certification. I think this is a long way down the road because I feel like I still have a lot to learn as a yoga student, but that is somewhere in the future. I would say within the next 5 years, maybe even 3 years, I will go down that road because I just feel the need to share my love of yoga with the world.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Nina. It's been really, really awesome.
Thanks for having me, Matt. I really love this video series, and it's been a pleasure to be here and talk with your lovely viewers, who I hope to see in Google Reader and on my Facebook page and commenting on my blog in the future. I hope. Please. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, bitch, you run the disinformation sector.
Online disinformation.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Right now, calling all of these news organizations that have inconvenient for him stories that
She does have some nice boobies, though.
that they're getting out there, that he's calling fake news and now lashing out at platforms. I would never want to see our executive branch have that sort of power. And that's why, you know, the legislative process with our duly elected officials is really important, that sort of consultative rulemaking process. And we can't just govern by executive order anymore. I think I'll leave it there. I think the reverberations in the free...
We can't govern by executive order? Hey, hasn't Joe Biden been governing by executive order by signing more executive orders than every president before him by a lot? Hey, and then wait, this is from 2020, when she said that she didn't want the government to have some type of disinformation governance board, and now she's the head of the disinformation governance board.
Free speech space are huge. Not to mention, this is exactly what Section 230 was designed to do, to allow the platforms to enforce the standards on their own spaces. So I think, you know, the entire conversation is being obviously blown out of proportion for political reasons. I'm super, but in the more democratic countries, I'm thinking in particular of Poland. Poland has established this consultative process with its Ministry of Digitalization and Facebook. Because, like the Trump administration, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Law and Justice Party got this idea from the Trump administration, they believe that there's anti-conservative bias on Facebook, even though there have been multiple studies that prove otherwise. And they have this consultative process where they send someone from the Ministry of Digitalization to discuss with Facebook's officers in Warsaw all of the instances of unfair content moderation, and some of them are being overturned through that political pressure. They have a tip line that people can kind of report when they think their content has been unjustly overturned. And the Trump administration has a similar thing. So it's providing a lot of fodder for anti-democratic online governance. And it's very, very scary. And I think this is really where Congress needs to step in. I think we're seeing cooperation ramp up on a number of levels. So I will be completely honest and say that my program at the Wilson Center is partially funded by Facebook.
It's really hard to find shit on here. Doesn't look like she was on the show for Vladimir Zelensky, but how strange, though. She was working in Kiev when all of this was going down, when, you know, before the guy that was the president now of Ukraine was an actor and shit. And she was in Ukraine all throughout that time. Very interesting. And she was also partly funded by Facebook. Let's not forget that. Funded by Facebook! So, I guess, where can we really go? If I start going down all these rabbit holes, man, we're never going to get out of here. We are never going to get out of here. Servant of the people. So, JCJ is probably full of shit. Jacobitz worked as an advisor for security communication for Zelensky since 2020. But yeah, it doesn't say that she was on service to the people, though. Nope. Wait a minute. Big cheers for ZEHQ as the first exit polls show him with 30% of the vote. Of course, we're watching 1+1, the channel, which is on the show Servants of the People airs. Ukrainian elections. Oh. It's the Jakemeister. Good old Jakemeister. What's this? This piece looks at the Ukrainian perspective of impeachment scandals. A few new details, but just as incorrect, Zelensky's victory was not a surprise to anyone, even curiously watching Ukraine. It also matched exactly the polls, so people were clearly weren't paying attention. I doubt Bloomberg is talking about the first round. Wow. She actually did say something about it from back in the day. I wonder what she's saying today. Oh, she actually hasn't said anything for a while. For those who believe this tweet is key to all my views, simply it's a direct quote from both candidates during the final presidential debate. If you look at my timeline, you will see I was live tweeting that evening. Back on the laptop from hell, apparently Biden notes 50 former NatSec officials and 5 former CIA heads said they believe the laptop is Russian disinformation. Trump says, Russia, 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 Russia. You were live tweeting? Because if you were live tweeting, you would have had more tweets around this time, bitch. Oh. Oh. Cool. Yeah. So, we're pro-life now. Well, I've always been pro-life. I don't know about you. You could be against life or whatever. You could be anti-life. That's fine. You're probably not going to make it into heaven. But that's all right, dude. You probably could party it out there in hell with all the fire and brimstone and the rock stars and all the other cool people. That's fine. I'm going to be sipping Mai Tais up in heaven. Like, why would I get a Mai Tai? These things suck. Can we make this Mai Tai taste better? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I guess at the end of the day, what can we really do? Elon Musk is changing the world in a small way, and then somebody leaks out a Soctus blog. Somebody's saying that this dude, Omnit was the guy that did it. Omnit Jain from the Soctus, a Soctus clerk. They're saying that he was the one that did it. But I guess we're not going to find out till like tomorrow or the day before tomorrow or whoever what. But I guess at the end of the day, this is definitely going to fall on the management. So, you know, this is definitely going on Biden for sure, because this is a huge fuck up. Just the fact that they even leaked this shit and they thought that they were going to, this was the move. Yeah, that was the move, guys. Yeah, let's just leak this and then just get the whole fucking country pissed off even more. Great fucking idea, guys. I mean, obviously, whoever leaked it deserves some jail. If it was actually one of the Supreme Court justices, it's time to be stepping down, if you know what I mean. But it's just kind of crazy, dude. It's like justifiable homicide and murder. The only difference between those two things is politics and what you think. Some people are going to go be like me and be pro-life and don't think that anybody should be dying out there, especially babies that can't defend themselves, but that are definitely viable way further along than anybody thought they were. Or are we going to stand with all those crazy motherfuckers that are godless sons of bitches that just don't even care about all that stuff? They need their stem cells. They need all this bad shit to be happening in America when it doesn't need to. You know what? They're so pro-abortion. Why don't we take all of the money that was spent on that and, I don't know, open up adoption houses, clinics for all these babies that apparently all these women need to be having all these abortions for because they don't want to be raising them? They're like, I want to have sex, but I don't want to deal with the consequences, which is fine. You know, in the Bible, they said they increased the pain of birth or whatever because of the whole Apple situation. You know, if you don't believe in that shit, then you're just mad about it or whatever, I guess. Don't really know. All we do know is that this is where we're at, dude. And like I said before, you're going to hear some of the worst arguments that you've ever heard in your entire life. And what are you going to do? You can't bring this shit up to people in the street. It's going to cause a riot. It's going to cause a riot. Try to bring this shit up when you're sitting at your mom's house eating some French fries and shit. Try that. See, See how fucked up that shit gets. It's gonna get screwed up. So, honestly, I don't know what those people are gonna do, but it's not really up to me. We'll be watching it. I'm sure it's only gonna get more batshit crazy insane. There's gonna be death threats on justices and stuff, and they're gonna have to go into like witness protection because these crazy leftists that like murdering babies are now going to turn their sights on to Supreme Court justices and shit. Like, this is some crazy stuff. This shit is bonkers. Bonkers. Not in a million years did I ever think that I'd see the death of America. But I saw today when some person decided to leak some shit from the highest court of the land for political reasons. It's insane. Shit's already bad. And we had a poll today. We had a poll in the chat, folks. If you were on the YouTube, you saw the poll. But the poll was, do you agree with overturning Roe versus Wade? Out of 88 votes that were cast on the YouTube channel, 82% of you said yes, and 17% of you said no. So, in our little edge of the world, it seems that people are happy with the overturning of Roe versus Wade and the allowance for it to return to be an issue of states, where your state may decide that it's for or against, but after it does, you can either choose to move or stay put, and it's up to you. That's pretty crazy. I guess now people just have to turn down the lust and activate more self-control. You know? Bad things are going to happen. People are going to be saying all kinds of ill shit. But shouldn't they just be looking towards their legislatures in their respective states and fighting there? Because going to the Supreme Court and protesting does absolutely nothing other than forming an insurrection in the eyes of the American people, saying that you guys don't agree with the highest court of the land, so law be damned. Like, it's not over. There's still the state votes. Go fight the battle on the battlefield that you're supposed to fight it on. Don't go bothering the justices because they decided to actually have a heart. So, what are we going to do? I don't know. But if you want to start a bar fight, probably perfect conversation to get it done. But they're probably all going to be out there. They're going to be out there, dude. It's going to get real ridiculous. And that's it for today, folks. We've gone on a little bit longer than we normally have, but I figured that there was a lot more that we needed to push out there because this is a pretty big thing, you know? There's multiple levels to this particular situation. I mean, it's crazy that, you know, abortion might be overturned. That's crazy to learn, you know? Like, for a lot of people out there in the world, 82% of you, that's good news. And then it gets topped by the fact that somebody had the audacity to basically destroy one of the highest offices in the land and basically make us look like clowns, because that's what we are now. We're fucking clowns. What are we gonna do, guys? All I know is I'm gonna keep my Glock cocked. And also, you should make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, consider sharing this with your friends, because it's the only way that we're ever gonna get anything out there on the algorithm. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye now. Bye.
What?
I'm a Glock cop, I'm a